Hey everybody, welcome back to the Top Cut. We are just going to jump right into it and get into your viewer questions. So, once again, if you have any, post them facebook.com/TopCutPokemon. And for those of you watching on YouTube, you should be watching this live so you can ask some questions and get them answered if you have any. So, let's start off with the first one from Sean Roast. If I'm not mistaken, our main source of Pokemon Search power in the next format will be Light, Heavy, and Ultra Ball. And I think Light means Level Ball.
Yeah.
With catchers remaining current and the Vileplume being rotated, does that make Zebstrika's Trainer Lock as powerful as he thinks it is? So, does the shift towards trainer-based search make Zebstrika more powerful in the new formats? What do you guys think?
Well, I mean, Trainer Lock right now isn't that strong. And we already have Zebstrika and Vileplume. So unless something comes along that changes that, the way the metagame is playing out, currently it's not looking good for Zebstrika.
Drew, you think Disconnect is going to be more powerful?
Well, I'm always a fan of people getting Trainer Lock to work, so I think it could be pretty powerful. I mean, it's hard to say with the level of Game 6 there.
That was so
Like,
cute.
He just takes the tree and runs away.
That was literally like the cutest thing.
But yeah, I think it's hard to make that deck work with the basics just being huge like they are, and it's hard to compete versus that.
Yeah, I kind of get the feeling that, well, in the future we'll still have Mewtwo. We'll still have, well, Terrakion. And we will include Darkrai EX. We'll include Zoroark. And a lot of other things that knock out Zebstrika. So, I don't see Disconnect being that strong. Shutting off trainers is cool, but doing 40 is not. I think that's pretty much all it boils down to. Alright, so Kevin Kobayashi posted a picture on her wall about an article that says Nintendo will be introducing some sort of technology with the 3DS, allowing us to play Pokemon trading card game online.
Oh wow.
Wait, PTCGO?
Well, on the 3DS, so like you can play with other people.
That would be awesome.
I'm reading this. I'm reading the picture of the article.
It's got like the little barcodes on the codes, the code cards.
Yeah.
So the barcodes, you take a snapshot with your phone, and it like uses that technology.
That's not the
to scan in
3DS.
cards.
That's the Wii U.
Oh yeah, sorry.
What's a Wii U?
My bad.
Or is it Wii Me? Whatever. The new add-on to the Wii.
Wii U.
Yeah, Wii U.
Okay, there we go. So I don't know much about it. I just looked at this. So,
Yeah,
man.
are they giving up on PTCGO and going with this?
I think it'd be a nice cross-platformer. I think it'd be good if they made a system where you could play on the Wii U with a touchpad or something like that, or you can play with your mouse and keyboard. Either way works. It would just
Apparently, it's the next generation of the Wii. It's a whole new console.
it's not really. It's like turning the Wii into a big DS. That's literally what it is. But it's cool. Don't get me wrong. But it's kind of what it is. I think it's cool. I mean, anything that's cross-platform and doesn't give any platform an inherent advantage is good. So I can't imagine any advantage coming from the computer side or the Wii side if it is cross-platform. So hopefully it's what I'm hoping for. Yeah.
It's been a long, long time since we've had Pokemon TCG for Game Boy. Waiting for a follow-up.
Still waiting.
I still play the emulator sometimes. Of the Japanese version?
Yeah.
That's gross.
They did release a second one, but only in Japan.
Yeah.
Sure, you got anything to add in, or are we going to move on?
I don't really want to go buy a system, so I hope it works for the computer and
What are you
cross
talking
platform.
about? They'll just like give you a Wii if you win nationals or something.
I still have the Wii I won at Nationals somewhere.
Yeah, then you can use that Wii.
I thought it was a new
Feel
console.
lucky.
No, it's an add-on.
All the times I made top 4 at Nationals, I never got a single Wii. I got a
Yeah.
DS.
Sorry.
Oh, wine. I made top 4 7 times. No Wii.
No, because the one year they came up to me, they're like, yeah, we don't have any of that small stuff this year, you're going to get a Wii. I was like, alright, cool. And then he gave me my bag, I was like, the DS. Yeah, sorry about that.
No, but Drew, it's a Wii add-on.
Alright, I can dust that bad boy off.
Mhm.
Not even sure where it's at. Finally get some use for it.
Alright, so, I have a question about cards from the new set. I don't really want to get into those.
I don't even know what a Tornado CX is.
It does 100 for 3. So now instead of 80 on the first turn, you can do 100. So probably going to see some play. But we'll get to that when Tornadus EX comes out, or is even remotely close. Which is actually the next set, but we got regionals first. So from Ryan Webb, which regionals will you be streaming from? I know I'm going to do what I can to stream from Wisconsin. I'll be there. Pram, which regional are you going to? Philly?
Philly, yeah. It's at the Philly Convention Center, so I don't know what I can do for internet there. You know, again, worst case scenario, we'll just record games and put them up on our YouTube page later. But if we can get internet, I'll give the convention center a call later and see what if we can get internet. If not, then yeah, we'll just record games. But so Philly's like a 50-50, maybe not even a 50-50. Let's just call it a maybe. Let's call it a maybe.
All right, and Drew said you're not going to regionals.
Probably not, but if I do, it'll probably be Philly, so same
Great.
boat.
And Crim, we'll just assume he doesn't stream no matter where it goes.
Yeah.
Well, he was talking about coming to Philly.
Did he even tape some games?
No, he lost our camera.
Yeah.
Again?
No, I mean he only had one.
Oh, good.
Can't trust
I
him.
bought him a camera for regionals, and first he complained that it didn't work, which probably worked. And then he got it stolen.
See, on the first one, that's why you test your equipment before you go.
Yes.
And then the second
It's
one,
a camera.
His whole bag got stolen, including his deck. Actually, there were trucks. Decks.
irresponsible.
Seems like a likely story.
Yeah, sure does. Yeah, I'll be pretty sure I'll be able to stream Wisconsin. The people in the area have been really, really accommodating in terms of helping me stream these events. I've had a pretty stable internet connection from both. I had from Wisconsin and Illinois, and they're all on board with me streaming these things, so I will be doing it from Wisconsin, I'm pretty sure, and maybe we'll have Philly too. So those are the only two we have for now. That's what we got to look forward to. And then somebody asked us what regionals we're attending. That's just answered. From Rick Placencia Garcia. A question we seem to answer almost every week. Is Vileplume officially dead?
For the 500th time, yes, it is. I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and like lie to you and be like, oh yeah, Vileplume's not dead. Listen, it's pretty dead as of right now. Maybe there's someone out there who can come up with something good for it. But the way the metagame looks like right now, and Saith's results will back me up on this, Vileplume is dead. It's time you kind of say your last prayers for it. You know, you put the last shovel of dirt onto its grave. You know, and just let it go. Just let it go. Maybe you can treat it like an old small pet, and you just put it into, bear it into the backyard.
Flush it down the toilet.
I was gonna say flush it down the toilet, but I'm just gonna go with maybe that wouldn't be so kosher if it was like a small dog or something. And just bury it in your backyard, and then just let it
we
go.
do not advocate flushing your dog down. Just want to clarify that.
Don't flush your dogs or anything down the toilet, please. But if it's a Vileplume deck, you may want to consider it.
We actually had somebody, one of our cities, he got so upset, he actually took his whole deck and he threw it in the trash on his way out the door.
You know, that guy was probably playing Vileplume.
No, it was Lance, actually. But Vileplume pretty much dead. We did see, those who watched our stream from Illinois States, Jason Kaczynski ran Vileplume with Mew, Vanillux, and Unpheasant, and he lost in top 8. I think he actually had to flip like 1 out of 2 heads for Fly, and he would have won the game, and he missed the last 2 flips, so he ended up losing. It looks like Vileplume's only really viable with stuff like Vanillux, where once you trainer lock, you really do lock the whole game down and prevent your opponent from really doing anything. So Vileplume in general, even though it's good, it doesn't do enough to warrant the space in most decks. So, looks like it's dead. Probably not coming back.
Had a good run. Had a good run.
Yeah, sure did. That one tournament at Worlds.
Where it didn't win.
Yes. So, a little bit different of a question from Kevin Reynolds. What do you think the best deck to run in seniors is for regionals? Now, personally, I have no idea what's doing well in seniors. But if you had to guess, what would be a good deck for seniors in regionals?
I always advocate that even though people play different things, it's pretty much, I mean, you're dealing with the same card pool here. I think you guys should treat it basically as the same format. So, you know, just play Eel, or play Zekrom, or play Celebi. I mean, I can't imagine anything being that different. So.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong, there is a difference between juniors, seniors, masters. I think for the most part, in juniors and seniors, you see more decks that make you say, why is that being played? Which, I mean, even though juniors and seniors is still competitive, there are still plenty of kids that just play their favorites. Like they show up with a Meganium deck or something like that. But,
I feel like I've heard this story before.
yeah. I would still think, yeah, choose from one of the best 2 decks, which are Zekrom Electric or Celebi.
I mean, I would advocate not over-teching it out, because you don't want to get too complicated. You don't want to like set them up for failure by going, hey, here's a list that's been teched out for this format and this set of decks only. No, you probably want to go something a little bit more standard, just something more well-rounded, so you can just face anything and do well.
Yep. Okay. So Adam Husted asks, should I play regionals with just one Mewtwo EX in my Zekrom Electric, or should I play Durant instead? What's better? If you can only have access to one Mewtwo, what would you rather play?
What are the choices? Zekrom and what?
Zekrom Electric, but you only have one Mewtwo,
Alright.
or Durant.
You know, I feel like Zekrom Electric is just
Zekrom.
better, even with just one. Because you can,
Play
like,
some Revive.
I was thinking that. I was just like, you can play, instead of the second Mewtwo, as long as it's never prized, you can just play Revive. Now, it's going to suck when you draw Revive and not Mewtwo. Don't get me. But, you know, it's an alternative. Yeah. I would just play Zekrom Electric with one Mewtwo and just hope it's my day.
It's always your day.
No, people just let me have my way.
Alright.
So yeah, if you're only going to run one Mewtwo, you do need to run recovery cards. I guess that's the point. So both are viable. Just pick the one you're more comfortable with. So, from Joel Montemayor, I don't know how that's how you say it, but do you guys think another rogue deck will pop up for regionals, kind of how Terrakion did for states?
Sure. I mean, I'm not going to count it out. I'm not saying the format is like solved or anything, because I hope it's not solved. That would be boring. But I actually hope someone comes up with something new and shakes up the format. But it's going to be tough.
Yeah, I think so. But I think going into states was kind of, alright, we kind of messed around with the new cards, let's just play what we think works. And then week 1 goes by, you see who wins, and then you say, alright, can I tweak my deck and make it any better? Week 3 comes by, can I tweak it and make it any better? Now we have like a good 2 or 3 weeks, whatever it is, between now and regionals to go back and analyze. Alright, this is what won. Is there anything I can come up with that effectively counters all these decks? And I'm sure somebody will come up with something. I'm not sure how effective it'll be.
That is true, yeah. Because I know personally, I tried to look into some other decks, but I was just like, I have no idea whether this is good or bad. So I just don't have time to playtest thoroughly this one deck. So
yeah,
I
it's
just
not.
ran with what I had.
It's not like cities where you have like 2 months or whatever to like figure out the metagame and all that stuff. States is like, alright, I have a tournament every single week, and these are big tournaments. I can't really afford to take huge risks because if I bomb all these, my chances at an invite are probably done. So people just play safe decks for the most part, which it's like, oh, Zekrom Electric, yeah, that did pretty well last week. I guess I'll play that. And there wasn't too much creative thinking during these 3 weeks. Going into it was the Terrakion deck, which, I mean, can you call that creative? I mean, it's just Terrakions, but
I think
it's a different deck concept.
I think the concept is creative, but I mean, the way it plays, it's clearly whatever. But, you know, that's not the point. The point's to win. And if you have a new way of winning, then, yeah, it's creative.
I'm just trying to think back to regionals over the past couple of years. I know in 07 they introduced that new Mew going into regionals, so that changed stuff. But for the past few years, it's been, what, 08? We've kept the same sets from states going into regionals. I'm just wondering if anything changed. I don't think 08 changed at all. That was all Guardy. 09, from states to regionals,
SP.
that might have changed. Yeah, SP got more defined, so the metagame did change a little bit.
Yeah.
2010, what even happened? That was just more SP.
That was just like luck shop, right?
Yeah.
Last year was more SP. So for the most part, states doesn't change too much. I mean, from regionals, states to regionals doesn't change a whole lot, but maybe we'll see some rogue stuff pop up. Who knows? I'm sure people will try to counter top 2 decks. So from Ryan Reese, when testing, do you usually have a testing partner, or do you test solo sometimes? I think testing solo means you have both decks and you just kind of put them on the table and you play against yourself. So have you guys, first of all, have you guys ever done that where you just play against yourself just to see how a matchup would go?
That's so long ago. I haven't done it.
Nobody wants to admit it, but I think everybody's done that. So
It's a good way to learn both decks, but
well, it's not a good way to learn how a matchup plays out, that's for sure.
I never do it though. Not anymore.
I mean, like, I've done it a couple times, and I thought I was like, oh yeah, because you know, of course I'm like the best player I know, right? So of course, me versus me would be great. And then you go out and you're like, and you run into that decision. Would I have done this if I didn't know what was in his hand? And then you're just like, these results are skewed, aren't they? I can't do this anymore. So I test with a group. Definitely. I think that's the best way.
I mean, testing with a group is better, but when you're all by yourself, sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do.
That works on so many levels.
Yeah, and I'll leave it at that. Zach Elliott, how useful is Tyrogue in the Zekrom Electric? We'll start with Pram.
I'm just gonna steal the credit of putting Tyrogue into Zekrom Electric deck. So it was great in week 1. No one really had Tyrogue in their deck. I only ran into one other deck that had Tyrogue in their deck, and that's only because he heard I was running it. So really, that was probably my fault he was running it, because I told some people about it. And yeah, it like won every mirror, because like you go into first week of stage, you're like, well, everyone's going to come to the conclusion that 30 HP Dynamo is the best Dynamo. Well, how do you beat that? Tyrogue. Okay. And then but now the format's a little bit more defined, where everyone's running Tyrogue now for the most part, and people are flip-flopping on which Dynamo to run. I think most people now look at 30 HP Dynamo as risky because of Tyrogue, so I think it depends really how developed your mirror matches are going. Like if you see a lot of people starting to move over to 40 HP Dynamos, then it could be worth it to cut Tyrogue completely. But if your area is like way far behind and they're still running like 4 40 HP Dynamos, then go Tyrogue all the way, man. Just go get it in there and be like, it's free prizes.
Drew, what do you think about Tyrogue?
He kind of reminds me of my boy Brizion. Just send him out there, he does a solid amount of damage, takes some cheap prizes. Everything has low HP, that's basic, the Dynamos, the Clefos, other Tyrogues, so it's a good way to grab those cheap prizes. I like it.
Yeah, it's sort of just depends on your metagame, like. And right now the metagame is honestly a lot of Zekrom Electric decks, so if you're going to see a lot of Dynamos, it's probably worth it to play Tyrogue. But if you're in an area where people are playing a bunch of like Celebi Mewtwo decks, I don't think I'd play Tyrogue anymore, because it doesn't do anything against that deck. You don't really need to hit a Celebi for 30. You would rather be using Charge with Thundurus probably, turn 1. At the same time, people are still running Cleffa by me, so that's even more of an incentive to play Tyrogue. So when they flip over a lone Cleffa, there's no better feeling than searching out your Tyrogue when the game ends. So, yeah, it just all depends on what other people are playing. I don't think Tyrogue's ever bad. 30 for 0 is pretty good. So, just depends. Are you going to run into a lot of Dynamos? And if so, then Tyrogue is going to have a lot of fun. Alright, so I'm going to wrap this up pretty soon. I'll take a few more questions. But first one is, well, let's just do this one too. Also from Zach Elliott. How often do you guys actually test? I know we've answered a couple times, but I mean, we're in states now, business is picking up, so how often do you actually test? Drew, you don't count because you did not test at all.
I've played one game the past 3 months.
Durant mirror match.
Nope. Gotta keep it sharp, man. Gotta keep it sharp.
So, Pram, how often have you been testing?
I think it's mainly been at least from weeks 2 and 3, like night before, and that's pretty much it. Sometimes no testing at all between the states weeks. But going into week 1, I tested quite a bit. I think I tested like maybe hours-wise total 15 hours. So something like that.
I mean, every year it seems like I test less. But, well, actually I've tested more recently than in the past, like 2 years, because, well, 3 years probably. So all I had was SP for the past 3 years, and I did not really test much at all going into those tournaments.
Yeah.
I mean, tournaments were my testing with that pretty much, because it was just, hey, SP mirror match every single round. And the format didn't really change for like 3 years. So then I didn't really test much, but for states, I mean, this year the format is drastically changed with each new set. Merging powers, I brought catcher. That obviously changed everything. And then what, Noble Victories came out, so we saw, well, the dominance of basics began with the Electro deck, 6 corners, etc. And then now the EXs, basics, are truly dominating. So I've had to test more and more just because the new sets came out, but really nowhere near what I used to test. I mean, if you think back to the old days, how much did we actually play on Apprentice? Like, how often do you guys actually think we played back in like 2005?
Way back in the day?
Oh,
we
man.
played so much.
Yeah, it's like you would get
Even
that.
like, not even like 2005. How about like STS days?
STS days like 3 hours a day.
It'd be like
Wild.
you get back from school, you play Apprentice. On the weekend, you go to League. When you get back, you play some more games with people you brought home from League. Next day, they would leave. You play more Apprentice. Yeah. But I think that's a lot of it is just we were building up our fundamentals. A lot of it, like now, we've retained our basic mechanics of the game, so we don't have to test at least that much as more. Rather, we test differently. I also like to clear up that I don't actually play 15 hours straight. That's like ridiculous. That's not. When I said like 15 hours, that's like watching games too. So like just two other people playing and going, okay, so that's how this matchup plays out. Because you don't have to actually play every game yourself. You can just watch it, and then just by watching how a game plays, you kind of get a feel on how the matchup should play out. So, yeah, that's my. I think that's all
I
got.
think early on we were playing a lot just because we didn't like know what to do. We needed to test, and we really, like you said, built up like fundamentals. Which, so I think if you're just starting out or just playing competitively, you need to play a lot more than somebody who's played for a while. Because I think as time went on, we've all kind of realized, okay, this probably should or probably shouldn't work, just based on what we've learned from playing over the past, 10 years. So I've not tested nearly as much as I did in the past, but I still play a good amount just to get a feel for new stuff. Like, every time a new concept comes out, like when the format shifted completely for Nationals, yes, you had to test a lot, just because it was completely different from SP. Games played out a lot differently. In that situation, yeah, you have to test, otherwise you're going to be behind. You're not going to have a feel for how games go. When Catcher came out, yeah, you got to test a lot, because games are going to feel a lot different. Now, nothing is safe on your bench. Maybe before, could have been safe if there was reversal, but now there's Catcher, you always got to be aware. So that changed everything. And then N came out, you got to be aware of that. And then EXs came out, which changed the game a lot. So every time something groundbreaking comes out, you have to test more. But if there's just like some dinky little new expansion that only adds a few new cards, then you don't really have to test. But for the most part, the important testing is when things really get shaken up. So when that happens, I probably play. I still probably don't play that much, but I play whenever Joner asks me to play. way too often. Every time I sign on to AIM, he's asking me for a game. Alright, we'll take just a couple more questions and call it a night. Let's see. From Jason Patrick Anichirico, do you think the 10% rule should be put in place again for foreign cards, which means you could play up to 6 foreign language cards in your deck? This was the rule 1 or 2 years ago, and then they switched it to say you can only play your native language cards. So would you like to go back to the foreign language stuff, or do you just think it should stay the way it is?
I like it where it is now. Well, I guess I'll give you guys some history on why this happened. Basically, when you give players an inch, they take a mile. So what was happening when, first off, before the 10% rule, you could play any foreign card as long as you had a translation for it. Well, what happened was you had players coming in with a full, say, Japanese card deck with a giant stack of paper, and this is what they were playing with translations. And that's ridiculous. If they're playing cards I don't know, I have to look up in their binder to what each card does. You know how much time that takes? Plus, it had to be from official sources, and you don't even know if they could have changed the card text when they printed out. So even that was unreliable, and then it was just a huge mess. Mainly because players got ridiculous with it. And then they only made the 10% rule because there was such backlash of a full-on no foreign cards that you shouldn't give players enough time to transfer all their old cards, to stop buying foreign cards, right? So they could just buy English cards.
Because there were people that just
Yeah.
bought Japanese cards. They would just have completely Japanese decks. They wouldn't even buy the English cards.
Yeah, and they had good reason too. It was more cost efficient to buy Japanese cards rather than English cards because they have a better rarity ratio than English cards. So like you would get like 3-4 EXs in a box or maybe like more than that, and in a Japanese box, but in an English box you would only get like 2. And then the uncommon ratio was much higher too. So say you needed like 4, I guess we'll use today's cards as an example. Say you needed 4 catcher. Well, it was much easier to get 4 catchers in a box in a Japanese box than it was in an English box. So it was just more cost efficient. But at the same time, it caused a huge translation problem. So they just got rid of it. And I think we're in a better place.
Japanese cards are a little better quality than our cards.
Yeah, but honestly, that's whatever. I think once they're sleeved, it doesn't make a huge difference.
Tell that to my Don Fan Primes, buddy.
Okay, in terms of foils, it makes a difference. I think they, in terms of a competitive standpoint, they should have a non-foil option for everything. Maybe not EXs, because that's just like so.
State actually, they noticed how foils were bending so much, and they actually put proxies in every player's deck, just so there wouldn't be an issue with people picking out foils.
Yeah, I mean, like, it gets bad, man. Like, you honestly, you have like 2 options with foil cards. You can play all non-foil, and then you have the foil cards, and then they stick out like a sore thumb. Or you make your deck incredibly hard to shuffle, and you play all foil, or at least majority foil. And then your deck is like twice the size of their deck. It makes it hard to shuffle, and it's just overall, I just don't like it. So I would prefer they have a non-foil option. But Japanese card. I think we're fine without the Japanese cards, to be honest.
Yeah. and it was Colorado where they did that. They actually took out like all the Mewtwo's and all the foils, and they put in non-foil proxies. But alright, Drew, what do you think about Japanese cards? Should they be allowed? Yes or no?
I think they worked so hard and took so much flack to get rid of them in the first place that they would never go back now. I think the main argument for them is it's cheaper, and everyone sees a $60 Mewtwo and they want, the cheapest Mewtwo possible, which would probably be Japanese. And I got crimmed. That's not cool.
Hey man,
But,
your camera's not up. Gotta do something.
But yeah, they've been gone for years now. I mean, it's been like 3 or 4 years, and they would never bring them back. And I think Pokemon is not as competitive as a game like Magic, where you can play whatever you want. You'd have like Poké Dads and Pokemoms that just have no idea what you're playing, and it's such a burden on the tournament organizers. You should really take it easy on them. They volunteer their time for us. They don't get compensated as much as they should, so just take it easy on the people that are working for us,
Yeah, I think the main argument's just going to be, look at how long these tournaments take already. I mean, you have state championships going until midnight, 1 in the morning, and if you add in something like this, there's going to be confusion. This is going to happen every tournament, and at least a couple times where somebody just, I don't know what that does, and it's going to waste time, going to make the tournaments run even longer, and that's just why they don't want foreign cards to be allowed. They want the tournaments to go as smoothly as possible, and anything that would get in the way of that, they're just trying to eliminate.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's their main issue.
I even remember an example of like confusion about translations. Remember Lanson?
Yes.
Okay, so I'll give you guys a little story time.
That was right.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah. Still, but that, I mean, if that was anywhere else, that would still be an issue. Like,
Yeah.
okay, so basically, the big deck in the format was Blastoise, Steelix, Lugia, and everyone knew what Blastoise did, except for this one person who's never really played the game. But lo and behold, he's like 2 wins away from a World's invite.
That was 1 win.
One win,
actually.
yeah, 1 win away from a World's invite. But he's barely even played the game. But his game sense and the deck someone gave him was just good, right? So he had no idea what Blastoise EX did, and it was in Japanese. And the judge just kind of looked at him, was like, "Are you serious?" And yeah,
This guy, Lanston, he's like 6-1 in the grinder. He just has to win, and he's going to make the world championships. He just picked up, I think we gave him a Delta. He's Crim's friend. Smart guy, he plays poker, he plays Magic maybe, I don't know.
yeah.
But his opponent just rare candies into Blastoise EX and starts attaching a bunch of energy, and he goes, whoa, 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 whoa. Judge, what does this card do? And the judge just looks at him like, this guy, is he serious? Does he really not know? He's like, yeah, I really don't know what this does, tell me. They're all like, oh, is this guy here? What happened? And then he's like, oh, that's pretty good. Then he lost.
I mean, like, I know for a fact I don't know what every card does. One incident was at Worlds, and there's actually a couple incidents. Yeah, there was actually a couple incidents at that World Championships where I didn't know what the Japanese players were playing on me. One time was a Switch. It was like some art I've never seen for Switch before, but I just figured it out because of what he did. So I was like, oh, that must be Switch. And then the next one was Professor Oak's training method. No, that's not right. New Theory. Professor Oak's New Theory. Which, of course, I know what it is now, because it's so played. But back then, that card was like never played because it was just awful.
Yeah.
So, when that got played on me, I was just like, whoa, 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 Judge. I have no idea what that card is. You have to tell me what that card is, please. And, yeah. It's easily resolved, but just imagine that over and over throughout the tournament.
Yeah. Alright, so move on. this is going to be the last question of the night. A very big question. From Jesse Irvolino. Non-Pokemon question incoming. Are any of you guys watching WrestleMania this weekend?
Ooh.
So, John Cena versus The Rock, a year in the making. It's the main event. Also got CM Punk versus Chris Jericho, one of the main events. And Sheamus versus Daniel Bryan, I think. Are you going to tune in and watch the biggest event of the year?
The one thing I love about these wrestling pay-per-views is I don't have to watch any of it beforehand. They just tell me the whole beef leading up to that match, like in a 10-minute segment. And then I'm just like, oh my god, I'm so hooked on this storyline. Nom 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 nom. Give me more. And then I just get hooked and I'm just like, oh man! So, I'll definitely consider it.
Drew, are you going to watch The Rock versus John Cena?
Oh, and I love
Maybe
The Rock.
just send me the link to the stream, but otherwise, no.
I'm going to go to your local Buffalo Wild Wings, catch the show.
Buffalo Wild Wings. I got like 3 bars, 2 steps away from
Hey,
me.
careful.
That too.
There might be a bar craft at the same time. Who knows?
Yeah.
And Drew's like, what's that?
Okay.
I actually don't know if I'll be able to watch. I will be in Green Bay this weekend doing, I'll be at the Let's Play Green Bay convention. I'm a guest there for the weekend on behalf of, representing Pokemon for them. So I'll be there from Friday through Sunday. Not sure when we're going to get done Sunday. Hopefully I'll be done in time to watch. Can't miss WrestleMania. So yeah, if you're in the Green Bay area, swing by. It's Let's Play Green Bay. It's a big gaming convention. It's kind of like Gen Con or Origins, but smaller, I think. First time it's happening, so it's kind of a big deal. It's going to be a lot of... It's actually sponsored by a lot of big companies, so I'm expecting it to be a pretty big event. A lot of board games, card games, stuff like that. Should be a lot of fun. There's actually Settlers of Catan national qualifier at the convention, in addition to some big Magic Star City game invitational or something qualifiers. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
So there's going to be a lot of stuff going on. So if you're anywhere near Green Bay, come by. But that's going to wrap it up for tonight. I'm going to cut it to about an hour for the show tonight. So we'll cut it off there. Thanks everybody who asked questions. Apologize if we didn't get to yours, but as always next week. And, we got most of them. So. You guys got anything else you want to say before we go?
Oh, sure, I got some shout-outs as always. To all you guys at Maryland, thanks for saying hi. It was always nice meeting you guys. Going to Philly Regionals, so if you're there, say hi. I'm especially thinking of Crim 2, because I'm sure he watches sometimes. Also, follow me on Twitter at MichaelPramWatt. Follow us all on Twitter except for Crims23. You know, we established a lead on Crims23, and it's a lead I want to extend as much as possible, to the point where I'm at least double his followers. That way, I can certainly say, you, sir, are boring. So, please follow me, and follow all of us except for Crims23. Oh, and follow the show at Top.Pokemon.
Yeah, by the way. Yeah, the rivalry between Pram and Crim continues. Who will get more Twitter followers? It's a race every week. Drew, how about you?
Yeah, follow me on Twitter. I tweet more than everyone else, except maybe Kyle.
You just sit there from work and tweet about anything that crosses your path.
What else am I supposed to do? Doing taxes. Yeah. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Rambo says thanks too. Even though we ran away. I'm sad the show's over, but see you next week, maybe. Gonna try to sleep in one of these times, but Kyle keeps dragging me in.
Playing the
Let's
Crim.
see. We still gotta do our uncensored show at some point. So we're gonna skip a Thursday
luck
show
with
at
that.
some point, move it to the weekend. So maybe you'll be able to sleep in.
The weekend? What do you think I do on my Friday and Saturday nights?
What?
It's a good question.
Unplanned,
Alright.
uncensored.
Which means if you were gonna drink, you'd do it anyway.
Yes.
I don't know about that.
Alright, anyway, that's gonna wrap it up for this week. Thanks everybody for watching. Be sure to follow us all on Twitter, at Michael Pram1, at Drew Holton, at Prims23, I suppose, and at Pooka311. Also follow us, Top Cut Pokemon. Like us on Facebook, facebook.com/TopCutPokemon. Check out the YouTube channel, which is also Top Cut Pokemon. If you got any feedback for us, email us at thetopcutpokemon@gmail.com, and our website, thetopcut.net. I think that's pretty much all of them.
Chippin'?
So, what's it?
Chippin'?
Oh, yeah, and if you want to donate to us, we have a little chip-in widget. We have some incentives there. We've been streaming from tournaments every weekend, so that's kind of fulfilled our stream goal. So we will be streaming from regionals, but if we get some money, start streaming Pokemon TCG online one of these days.
There was just a big sigh there.
You can watch me as I endure the failed to log in screen and the blue screens and all the glitches.
Maybe we'll stream Apprentice.
That is probably the least appealing visual thing ever.
Well, you're
But
magnifying that. It's on his bench.
could be done. Play TCG too, I guess. But yeah, thanks everybody for tuning in, helping us grow Pokemon. Our audience is growing a little bit, so day by day, week by week, we're getting somewhere. So please spread the word if you like what we're doing. The way Pokemon gets bigger is you tell your friends about it, tell people, post about it on Facebook, Twitter, Reddit, wherever, and more people will see it, and hopefully Pokemon will grow in to the game it deserves to be. So thanks everybody for watching. Hope you enjoyed the show, and we'll see you next week.
See ya.
Peace.